Welcome to Njenje Media TV, and I welcome you all to this State of the Igbo Nation Series. Today, being the 14th day of July, 2024, I have the privilege of having a one-on-one conversation here with me, with Chief Mrs. Chris Anyanwu, MFR, former Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a renowned journalist, who had won several international journalism prizes during her incarceration between the year 1995 and 1998 for treason for daring to report on a failed coup d'etat against the government of late Sani Abacha. She is a publisher, an author, and a deep critical thinker. A rare privilege. You're welcome to this conversation. Good evening once more.
Thank you, Mazi.
Thank you very much. So without wasting time, on this State of the Igbo Nation Series, we have dived in here and we have looked at a couple of issues concerning Igbo. There is another series that is called the State of the Nation within Nigerian Roundtable, but this program is curated only for the Southeast. Now, we have had, in having this conversation, we have had Chief Emmanuel Iwanyanwu here. We've spoken to Alex, we have spoken to Professor Obu, the Alaigbo Stabilization Fund head. And we have also spoken to Abraham Nwankwo, obviously, whom you know very well. Abraham Nwankwo was the one in charge of economics as we gathered in Imo State for the summit. In all this, one thing stands out. We want to keep exploring the potentials within the Southeast and what we can do as a people. Now, to start with, I want to say to you once more, welcome. And just for us to start, I say, how are you keeping on? It's been since we've met in Imo last year, what a last year after the conference. We haven't since then. I hope you're keeping well.
Yes, I am. Keeping myself very busy. And Mazi, thank you for crowning me, awarding me a chieftaincy. I do not accept the chieftaincy titles. I'm not a chief.
Okay. Maybe Njenje Media has created that one, and at the appropriate time, we may have to, beg you to accept it because it is something of note, and you merit it. Okay. Let me start by saying we know that the Southeast is one of the those critical area, critical region in the nation today that is bedeviled with a lot of issues, and mostly as it concerns governance. My question to you is there anything you can share with us, your vision for Alaigbo, and the challenges you may consider that we have within Alaigbo, and maybe the things you hope to see in this region happen in the next couple of years?
Southeast is a blessed region. It's one of those parts of Nigeria that is still unspoiled. And I have traveled around Nigeria very widely. I think because the Southeast is not as developed as the other parts, and people, most people from outside the Southeast do not see the need to come and do unplanned development. So we have been fairly preserved. But I think that, and during COVID, something began to happen that really threatened the nature of Southeast. I think that there were some sort of immigration that began to really threaten the tranquil nature of the place. And we began to witness violence on a level that we never saw before, crimes on a level that we never saw before. Things began to happen, and our people, of course, the natural consequence that people flee from the Southeast, at least most parts of it. But there has been some recovery, and I think the key to it, to recover the momentum that we had in, between 2015 20 to 2018, the economic activity was really going very well. I cannot give you the statistics, but the quantum of economic activity that happened in the 5 Southeast states, was tremendous. And this was at a time that there was upheaval and a lot of violence in other parts, especially in the north. But with that violence, there had been a backslide. It kind of, we lost momentum. And the key to recovery is to do something to deal with the security issue and begin to act on some of the things that came out of the Owerri conference. And the Owerri conference, we did not deal with issues that no one had heard before. We had heard them. There had, in fact, been discussions, there had been papers, but what was exceptional about the Owerri conference was that he dealt with security on a scale that we had not done before. And it also dealt with economic development and economic regional integration. Some of the ideas that came out of, of that conference, especially regional integration, economic development, they just blow your mind. If we can even begin to work on some of the, the short-term and medium-term ideas that came out before we build the institutions that will hold it all together, I think that we'll be getting somewhere. The Southeast people are gifted people. They're very energetic, very competitive. They are also peaceful people. They live and let live. And I think that if a foundation, proper foundation is laid, there will be a great tomorrow, a greater tomorrow in the Southeast.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
I mean, a great insight there you've provided. Now, based on the things you've said, I want us to explore this, which is your impression about the governance style of the governors we have in the Southeast. Then we narrow it down to your own state of Imo State. Do you consider, based on the information you just put out now, do you consider that we do have adequate governance coming from mostly the executive and the ones we also ignore very well, the legislative arm within Imo State and the Southeast as large?
Yeah, I believe the people we have at this moment, they're capable of pushing forward the Southeast. At least this core of leaders are a vast improvement from the past. I have to tell you that. And I have the hope that we are going to have a steady improvement in the leadership quality in the Southeast. But you see, the leaders, the executive governors alone cannot transform the Southeast. The leaders don't do the job alone. It is the leaders and the led, the people and their government that will transform the place. Whatever any, leader does, you can have the best ideas in the world, but if you do not carry along the people, if the people don't understand what what you're doing, if you cannot animate them, that they cannot take that they can come together and take their own piece of the action and run, then you probably will not achieve as much as you would have. So the people of the Southeast must work with their leaders. The people can encourage their leaders. There are times, leaders are human beings. And I think that we've had very difficult times, in the last maybe 3 years, especially around this security issue. And the onus lies on the people to encourage their leaders at those moments instead of killing their spirit. Do you understand what I mean?
Sure.
When they work together, when things are hard, that's not when you begin to flog them psychologically. When things are tough, you can come together. You can point, to the right direction. You can suggest things. But I think, I sense that our people can sometimes be very uncharitable, very hard on our leaders, And
But
what I'm saying is that they have to work together.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, in leadership, that's what they signed for, because it's just like in governance, leadership is like a parent. When a child, feels aggrieved or feels any threat or anything, first thing it does is to go back to the parents and, kind of go under their shield. And in most cases, not everybody will be too civil in that, and maybe we'll see the kind of things we see, where, as you said now, it appears we can be very hard on them to say, hey, and timely most times to say they want.
No, but Mazi, the way I see it is that, in fact, we let ourselves to misunderstand what it's all about,
Mm.
The people quite often don't understand that they are part of this business called governance,
Mm.
It's like the government, build roads, give us water, do everything. But you see, the government brings a road, or maybe plants flowers, and you go and cut it. The government clears a road, and you go and dump trash in the gutter, and there's a flood. And, so that is where there is no synergy. You don't understand that, in fact, that the things that you do have consequences on, the overall state of your environment, of the state, right? You are part of it. So I think that one of the things that I like to see in the Southeast is that the people have to be carried along. The people there is need for mass education, mass public education, telling them where they come into governance, they come into, a better society, what they can do to push it forward, right? And stop this blame game of blaming the government all the time. And the government also has to understand that it's not there on its own. It must reach out to the people. You send people to the villages. We are going to build a road here. It's going to affect you. We want you to understand, hear them. If they don't like it, if it's, they will have their say, but at least you have consulted them. You've carried them along. So that synergy is something that I have seen in other countries that helps, bring transformation, helps bring progress. I don't, see a lot of that happening.
Okay. No, okay. In that sense, I mean, you've mentioned synergy, but I would want to also know, in what ways do you believe the governance style of the southeastern governors collectively? Now, the key word here is collectively. How that can collectively impact the development and progress of Alaigbo compared to other regions. Obviously, considering, as you started out, with your intro, that we are a peculiar people. That would, a peculiar, we have our own peculiar, ups and downs, basically. Bearing that in mind, what governance?
I don't even think that the governance style is a collective thing. Each government, each player has his own style of delivering. Because you cannot, if you put Soludo, for instance, on one side and put Hope Uzodimma on the other side, there are two different people with two different governance styles. And you cannot, put them together and say it is the governance side of the Southeast governors. Each one is pursuing his mission, based on his understanding of what he should be doing, on his own interest, on what he brings with him to the job, on his own personal strengths, and what how he sees, what he sees as the priorities of his people. So you cannot the gentleman in Ebonyi, he sees the world through a totally different prisms from the man in Enugu. And we hope it's totally different, from Soludo. Soludo, you know him, he's been around, he's a more academic person. Maybe if he wants to build a road, he's going to have a more studied, a more long-term, maybe a slower, process. But Hope comes from a very practical background, and he's had a lot of experience in business, and he's going to do it differently. And Alex is a banker, he will approach it differently. But when you put them together collectively, you see they bring different strengths to the job. And when you now put those strengths together, you can see that if you, with a little bit of time and luck, we can have positive results collectively. But I cannot, talk about collective style of the, and you can't say that of even Southwest governors who say they are collective style. There are things that tie them together, but definitely each of them has their own style.
But we can have a collective expectation. I give example. Ndị Igbo nwekwana ike ị na-ene anya na maybe in the next 4 years that our governors collectively should be talking to themselves. How do we build road from Onitsha to Owerri, to Abakaliki, to Enugu, to I don't know, Aba? At the end of the day, can do those things that because the lead, ndana church, well, demands hana. From your own perspective, kedu ihe ha kwesịrị ime ewe nyekwalụ ndị na-achị ha achị aka ka ewe nweta that thing.
Maazị, ihe kwuru ulezi. Yes, those are it's right to expect them to come together and do those things, because those are the aspirations of our people. And you are on. But I have to tell you, I am not the spokesman for the Southeast governors, but I know that they do talk about these things. What else did we talk about in the Southeast, summit? We have a package. If I show it to you,
we'll come to that very
okay,
soon.
we'll come to that.
Yes.
They have been having meetings, and they have been talking. And I want to tell you that, in fact, I kind of like this style because, in this country, I know how it works. If what you do becomes the subject matter of media and public discourse, even before you do it, you're not getting anywhere with it.
But,
and therefore, it is wise to, keep a wrap on it, work on it quietly, let it, cook up properly. And when you are ready, you unfold it. And that is my personal style. A man, my mom used to say, the problem with the Southeast, in fact, is that we have changed in our character. We have become a very loud, very loud and very unstrategic people. Why do you talk when you have not finished the studying of the what you're going to do. We have given them a massive, document. They have to find a team to say, sit down and study this, tear this to pieces, bring it into bits of action, and come back and let us see where we start. And that is why all we can say is, please don't go to sleep. Don't let it stay too long. We are hungry to hear from you.
But therein lies the problem, where you say na ndị Igbo na ọ bụghị maka na ndị tụrụ n'iso na akụkalị aka n'obi agwa ndị mmụọ ebe ndị dị mmadụ malụkwa na amalụ na Naijiria ebe anyị nọ na onye ndị ilo gbalụ gburugburu na-eche ndị ya nche na ọ bụghị ihe niile anyị ga-eme ka anyị ga-ekwu n'ilo mana ebe nsogbu dozibụ ọ bụrụ na ịbịazịa ndị mmadụ na-eche na-emesigo ngwa na-echezi ọ bụrụ na onwe ndị a ga-akpọbata n'ime ka agbanyelu ha izu nnekwu ihe anyị na-akwado ime maka na ndị mmadụ chekatazịa o nwere ihe a na-afụ, and that's where the problem is. Because na ọ bụrụ na ndị mmadụ feel na o nwere ha na-afụ, ọ dị adịzịrị ha easy ije na-aza our governors are not doing anything, our region is not doing this, because unu agwaghị anyị na onwe nke a na-eme na-emekwa na-eme anyị ahụghị ya n'anya. So kezi conclusion anyị chọrọ ka ndị mmadụ arrive at, they will just say na onweghị nke a na-eme.
That is true. We'll just plead, we have very bright governors this time. There is not one of them that is not a brilliant man, And governorship is a thankless job, extremely busy. They are in 3 cities in one day, and there's no time. But I will plead that no matter what happens, that these tasks can be delegated to a group of people. There's no state that you can say, okay, bring 2 people, brilliant people who have the skill set, the experience, to deal with this kind of thing. No state that cannot produce 2 people. You multiply by 5, that's 10 people. You give them that job, lock them up, and give them a deadline. In 3 months, let us have, we see, because what's being given includes laws. Any idea that was brought forward, the job was defined, the institutions to be built, the laws that will be passed, the draft laws were included. So it's like cooking food that, that is, the food was cooked maybe.
My name is Professor Chris Anyanwu.
Sorry.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, man. Sorry.
Yes. The food was cooked to, a great extent. And so all it takes, to consider it, and say, let's give it to these people. I do believe that has been done. And also, I think also the part of the problem is that the Governors Forum, does not have it's not strong, the formation in terms of the management, the administration. They're new, they just appointed the people. So when they now get a very strong, team working there, it should really facilitate such things. But I would like to, plead with our people to bear a bit. I'm glad that some discussion happened, in the last few weeks, and they have promised that some action will be taken in the area of security. They will begin to, unfold what they're going to do in security. But, economic development and regional integration, they are fantastic. The ideas that came out are fantastic. They should just find a group of people and let them deal with those things. I'm very optimistic. Once we begin to take on some of the things that came out of that conference and other ideas, because it incorporated ideas from the past.
Yeah.
Once we begin to work on some of them, and I think that
Yeah,
the future will be-
I agree. Ịma na akwụkwọ nsọ Igbo gwakwara na anyị na agaghị amụnye mpanaka dobe ya n'okpuru akwa.
I'm not
All the
about- I don't understand.
No, don't worry.
I'm not very
Akwụkwọ nsọ, what I mean is that we can't light up a candle and we'll put it under the bed.
Yes.
Those brilliant, fantastic ideas, at some point has to see the light of the day. But let me take you a little bit away from this and come back to the nke bụ isiokwu ma ọ bụrụ ka esi ekwu, the key of the matter. Last week, or this week, this week, the local government fiscal autonomy has been significantly, or rather have seen a significant development, where the Supreme Court of Nigeria, given a ruling. Now, what many have seen or are saying now, ha ga na-enwetazi ego ha directly na ma na-enwezi onye ga-abụ anata ga-enye mgbe ụfọdụ anatazi anyị amaghị ma ha elu ma ha enwetaghị. Because many of us, we know federal roads in the southeast, we know state road, mana amaghị m onwe onye n'ime anyị ma nke bụ local government road. Because over the years, because now that strata of government is virtually non-existent, so we don't know what is actually happening there. So my question to you, based on this Supreme Court judgment, Odegika, Eha Ogenyaka, ka enwe rapid development at the grassroots and rural areas na Igbo?
Well, I have to say that I'm pleased that that happened, but I'm also a little bit surprised by the way it happened. That the Attorney General had to take this to the Supreme Court and obtain that ruling. This was the intent of the drafters of the Constitution, that the local governments will have financial autonomy to enable them deal with the issues that are particular to each local government. But you see, the issue of financial autonomy, people by practice distorted the intention of that section of the Constitution. The local governments are not getting, their money directly. Local government elections are now happening. Even the state assemblies, do they have financial autonomy? National Assembly does not have financial autonomy. The judiciary does not have financial autonomy. So what I would even ask is that let the train go all the way, across. Let National Assembly get financial autonomy. Let the judiciary get financial autonomy. Let the state assemblies, who in fact, when we were doing constitutional amendments, we had tried to get them to seek financial autonomy. They ran away. They didn't even want financial autonomy. Do you understand? Because they were beholden to the governors. So it shouldn't stop with the local governments. It should go all the way with the judiciary so that the judiciary can have independent thinking and independent action. And then National Assembly, in all its glory, is not independent, because they still have to get their money from the executive. And that was not the way that the Constitution was intended. But having said that, I think that it's a good thing. What now, the onus lies on our people to make sure that they bring people that have the right experience and skill set to preside over the local governments. If you have all kinds of ruffians and illiterates, sitting as chairman of local governments, it's not gonna make any difference. The development that you're expecting will not happen, because they will share the money. I know in my state, All kinds of riffraffs are gathering. They want to be local government chairman because why? The Supreme Court has given autonomy, financial autonomy to the local government. See, now they don't have to report to the governor. But you know, it doesn't happen that way. It won't happen that way. They will still work, every local governments will work in coordination with the governments. And I don't think that the governors would even permit a situation where the local governments would go amok and not plug into the overall framework of development plan by the state. But whatever happens, let it be there. The law is there. It empowers them. Maybe sometime in future, we will gradually begin to get qualified people of experience to preside over local governments. There are a lot of retired federal government directors, PAMSECs, who can run these places. But you know, when that happens, then maybe the law will begin to make meaning. For now, you know, let's see how it pans out. Because, you know, Nigerians are very, very wonderful in finding ways of circumventing.
You know, I agree with you. Mana, abo na eburu n'obi na ọ na-abụ alụsịa ụzọ. Anyị nwa bụ ndị Nigeria. Anyị aje chọba ụzọ ọpị. You know, mgbe anyị na-achụ nta, anyị na-akpị ya ọpị. Backyard. Ụzọ anyị esi wee je, as if I borrow your words, circumvent the rule. Ajụjụ m ma Joseph, what do you think the populace, ndị a na-achị achị, what will be their job to ensure that na ndị ga-abata na local government governance, amambo, if I again borrow your words, riffraffs, amambo ndị si adọrọ, amambo ndị fọm foju akpa, ha weta ego gọọmenti na ọka ewelu golu ụgbọala, golu moto, ṅụbazie nkwụ, mebe party, then it will defeat the whole purpose of this law. So kedu ihe ndị mmadụ nwere ike ime? What should people do to ensure that this doesn't happen?
Election. You have the right to participate in that election. Go out and participate and vote. I haven't said what I need to say about our people. These are not the people that I started out as a politician with. You know, we are the architects of our own faith. We see the right thing. We see the people who have something, who have the passion and the drive to deliver to us. But you know, we deliberately go and vote people who give us money. But we must know that the moment we take that 10,000 or 50,000 or 100,000, we have eaten the next 4 years and next 4 years. So when you cry that your roads, you can't drive in, along the road in your village, when you cry that there is no light, when you cry that there are armed robbers and the rest of it, remember your own contribution to this condition. When our people make up their minds that they want a better future, a better place, a better Southeast, Imo, Anambra, Abia, the rest of it, they will go all out and vote the right people, and the right people will deliver to them. And we've seen it, we've seen examples of it. And also, apart from, voting, they must monitor the people that are there. If somebody is elected as a local government chairman, hold him accountable, ask him questions, go out there and say, we can't have this. Let me give you an example. I have a cousin, long time ago. I helped him get a job in Plateau State. I think it was a road job. And he went out there from Imo, he went to Plateau to do the road. Look, within 1 week, the people of those villages drove him out of that place. They say, you don't know what you're doing, you're going to mess up. and they drove him away. And he never took up that. They reported him to the government. They say, find us another contractor.
Mm.
You are part of this. That's what I'm talking about, involvement of the people.
Mm.
Involvement of the people. Don't go to your house. You know, you take money from people and then you go to sleep. Look, every year before election, everybody, politics, you know, then they start giving them money. They give you money, you go and vote an armed robber, you vote an armed robber. Before it starts, everybody has cleared the place they're going to build a new house. And they collect money here, collect money for local, you know, local government, federal house, Senate, the governor. You know, they collect money, they build a house, right? And then they go to sleep. And the next 4 years, they suffer for it. And when they call me, I say, you ate your future. You have eaten your future. You've taken bribe and eaten your future. You sit down and stew in your own whatever.
But you know, you and I as stakeholders, as those ndị ghọtalụnụ na these ego a na-anye to buy during the election is evil. Gịnị bụ oke na ọrụ anyị? What is it that we can do to ensure that, you know, I mean, we do not have the power to stop it, but at least to bring it down and for people to understand that this is also evil, that is not helping us. In 1 minute.
The truth is that a lot of us don't understand how it happens. They just see what happens very superficially. A lot of talking and arguing and whatever it is happens, but the real thing is to see that. Try to understand. We have to understand how our politics happens, how the leadership evolution process happens, how the primaries happens, you know, how the candidates emerge. I think that the way things are going in the country now, we've gone too far that nobody can
reverse it
and be out of it.
Well, we know how much I know in this country when people were showing how much thousands of dollars they were giving for certain primaries. But again, that's a story for let's come back to the main issue here. That is the Southeast Economic and Security Summit that happened in Owerri, Q4 last year, towards the end of last year. A fantastic summit, well put together. I must also say that many people did not understand and know the role you played during that summit. One of the brains behind it that made that to be a success. That the eggheads in Igbo land came together to produce something. I am interested in two key areas. One, we had a subcommittee led by Abraham Nwankwo, Dr. Abraham Nwankwo, that is the economy. And we had the security, I believe, by Sir Engineer Chris Okoye. At the end of that, they submitted a report to the Southeast government. Now, it's almost, 9 months now that 8-9 months that event took place. Last week, we saw the Southeast governors for the first time since after that event, issue a communique and outlining that they would implement the agreement or the outcome of that summit in Owerri. The question is, why did it take us long for us to even come to that point? And again, since after that event, in my understanding, it appears to also be the first time the Southeast governors are meeting. Because Fondana Church, for how their governors in the meet, they read it different. But people who are closer to government may know, they meet, but for every man on the street in the Southeast who doesn't say, our governors are meeting and discussing about our welfare. They will go home thinking, well, so Gịnị mere? The economic summit report, the security report that was given to them, okay, something about it.
Well, you know, I can't answer that. My governor was the initiator of the project, and he asked me to organize it. And we had about 65 top ranks for all parts of the Southeast. And they did a fantastic job. In fact, you know, I mean, it wasn't just the people that were here. It's Southeastern brands all over the world. Some of them were in London, in, you know, Europe, in America, and the rest of it. And they put out this, and I think it's worth proper study. You know, there are some elements in the report that suggested personal briefs, and none has asked for those personal briefs up to now. I can't answer, you know, all I can say is that, you know, it came at a very busy time. As you know, the initiator was also going for re-election, and he had his re-election and swearing in January, and his you know, February, March, put together his team. But it's not true that the Southeast governors are not meeting. They do meet. And I've been informed that they have met a couple of times, but they meet sometimes quietly. And so I think we should take it that now that they spoke about it, they consider themselves to have reached a milestone that is worthy of reporting that, okay, we reached this milestone. You're going to be hearing more from us on this. And I think that you are right. People have a right to be worried, but I would say that people should also not be too worried. And I'd pray that the governors now step it up. Now that they have, you know, said something about it, step it up, get people working. I know that, you know, it's likely that they might have sent the report, you know, to a team. I don't know. I don't have that privilege. Perhaps even the Director General of the Southeast Governors Forum might be in a better place, you know, to answer some of the questions, you know, that you're asking. I'm only, you know, trying to understand what's going on from a distance, just a conjecture, not that it's actual.
I appreciate, you know, honestly, I appreciate that. I think one of the things I will do, you know, because what we'll try to do here is to dive and dig deeper. I might actually try to reach out to her to have that conversation. But, you know, sitting down here, I have the rare privilege of maka na asị na Igbo na onye chi maka ahụhụ si ekwu okwu ma na ọ ga-ewetuta ntị na ka ọnụ ugheri danda. I have the privilege of being on the street, you know, intermingling and hearing the pains of the people there, also to bring these questions when I have these conversations, you know, to put these questions out there. You know,
and you are right, you know, because especially when they see, you know, Southwest, you know, moving on and announcing what they're doing. But by the way, Southwest does not tell you we're going to do something. They go and do it and package it and announce that they have
exactly. So can you...
and also the Rivers, the South people, they are also working on their own. I think that what will give people, you know, relief is to know that their people are working for them, that something is cooking.
Exactly.
And that, you know, it will come out and it will cook well. I will take care of some of their major concerns.
You know,
yes.
You know, sorry, this issue now, you know, police, if we have security come back, everybody would. 30 cents, for instance. I'm giving these statistics out there. 30 cents on this month. Early this month, I think on the 1st or 2nd, published a report that detailed number of kidnapped victims by states and regions. When you come to the Southeast, Enugu State ranks so high, number of people kidnapped. You come to death, you know, shot, gun, but through violence, Enugu State ranks high. Now, for people who are not resident in the Southeast, only non you, that alone, no matter what AI na Guaha, na, the governors will say, oh, they are working, but the result appear not to be telling the story. If I go to my state of Anambra, for instance, yesterday, Nauruku, someone was kidnapped. Yesterday, towards Abaga, somebody was kidnapped, another one shot. Within the week, my friend who came back from Spain was kidnapped between Imo, that is Akokwa and Oga. He's from my town, isn't it? At the border there. He was kidnapped. So, you know, when people hear these stories, this crime there, crime there, crime there, it's honestly very difficult to cut our leaders some slack, quote unquote, to say, okay, they are working on our behalf. Because at the end of the day, everybody to move around with a routine of cars, bulletproof and armored car. I mean, move normal. It's virtually now, twice a year, it's virtually death sentence. Ni moto pentiana chawarawa, but on the Southeast without escort. If you come out, good luck. Mana, the lucky. So seeing all these things, nemende mad. Anasi, kedi hendanyi nyelo chichine. Sorry, but I'm not but it's something that pains the people. So they always tell me, Mazi, ask this question. Now I'm putting this question out there.
Yes, you know, I mean, I'm with you. I'm a commoner like you, and it's a
we are comrade on this.
It's a justified question, but you know, based on as you know what we did in the security committee, one of the interesting things I gathered, those people that kidnap, those people that come and shoot in the air, you know, they live in the community. There are people that know them. There are women that cook for them. There are beer parlors, you know, where they go and drink. There are people that, you know, there are motorcyclists, you know, that run our errands for them and tell them when people, you know, this person is coming or this person is out at the rest of it. But they don't say anything. So are people in a way, you look at it, you share a part of the blame. If you see something, say something. But the thing is, the mechanism for saying something must be worked out.
Exactly.
So that if you say something, you put your head for it.
Exactly.
And that's what we need them to deal with, to build those institutions or work out these things, you know, so that people know how they can contribute in this. It is very important. Some of us have businesses in the Southeast. It's like, you know, punishing ourselves. Do you know how insecurity has degraded business in the Southeast? I mean, it's a different thing to go home and see your parents or go home for events and all that. But when you have to be there, when you have your investment there, you know what we're talking about. In the last 2 years, I've had to do a project. And you're having to bring a whole lot from outside the Southeast. At every stop, they're taking bribe, you know, on you. They're extorting money from you. So what should cost $20 or 20 naira here in Abuja or in Lagos ends up costing 80 or 100 out there. That is punishment. It's got to change. And these are part of the, you know, what have to be dealt with. On the part of the governors too, you know, they have a very heavy burden. And, you know, I'm made to understand, you know, again, through the conversations that happened during this period, that the South is the only place where the governors are paying for maintenance, you know, fighting of insecurity In the North, the federal government fights insecurity with this money. In the Southwest, the same, the South-South, the same. Why do the Southeast governors use the mega funds that they have to fight insecurity? Why does the federal government not invest in bringing a return to normalcy in the Southeast? Those are the things that we should understand. And again, the whole idea of the arrangement, the way that security people are put every mile along the way, and with the consequences, that it gives the impression of people under siege. And this has happened for several years. And many people, and me included, is it not time to reconsider that strategy? Maybe put more mobile, security. It needs some rethinking. And so this whole thing about security, we must talk about it. We must encourage action. And it's your duty now to call the Director General to say, our people want action. Please remind them, please remind them, please remind them. And the 65 people that worked on this project, they should know that, they put their energies and resources. Nobody got paid, for that job. And they have a right to ask questions.
Not only asking questions, some of them actually believe that their time was wasted because, if they don't see all the energy and intellect that was put to work, it appears to be, not necessarily utilized the way they.
What has to happen is that the DG needs to brief us and allay those feelings, and that should be something that should be done by the office of the Governors Forum, to keep allaying this, and keep reminding the governors. Extremely busy people, extremely busy, It's a killing job they have taken on. But you see, we have to encourage them to do it because it's a legacy that they are going to be leaving.
Sure.
So many have come in the past, so many studies, so many events, so many summits, and none came to anything.
And we must.
Why can't this one be different? The Southeast started talking about Southeast security before the Southwest started doing a motor show. What broke it apart? You were with us at Nsukumuna.
Yes.
There was a disagreement, with the former governor of Ebonyi.
Ebonyi State,
and what is it? The Southeast.
Obiano.
Yes, yes. So that little thing just scattered it, and so here we are. We didn't act, and this period, this terrible thing is upon us, and we need to really encourage these governors to be the ones to get it done, and it will be to their eternal, record, that they were the people that broke the chains, and made it happen. And
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. We need to encourage them, but also, speaking on behalf of the people, they also need to do more. Because if you talk about the police checkpoint, it's crazy. Because I know living in Imo, for instance, if you live in Owerri and you're heading into Port Harcourt, it's like you are here and you're looking at the next police, checkpoint that's definitely 1 million % is going to stop you. You come to the next one, you're looking at the next one, is going to be there. And sometimes I just say jokingly, it's better to take a white sellotape, stick your driver's license on your screen, so you don't need to be bringing it out because it's there. They can all see it. But these are things that many of us do believe that, as you say, as you talked about your frustration, if you're doing any project in the Southeast that you need to get materials outside the Southeast, how frustrating it could be. But these are things we honestly believe that collective, and that's when I asked at the beginning, what could be, that thing that they could do collectively. They can say our people are suffering so much, and they can stamp their feet and say we want this stop, and they can do it.
But Marcy, the thing is that everybody pushes the ball to the governors. What can the people do? In the Southwest, do you think that they would have endured this forever and kept quiet? The people have said nothing. The people have not, they have not raised their voices. The people have
No,
not,
they have.
What have they done?
Sorry, Ma. You see, people react different. On record, I know when Inter-Society, for instance, and the Bacon Initiative engaged on extensive research and reported on this, told the world what was happening. And bear in mind that one of the reasons why we have arms proliferation in the South is as a result of certain individuals saying, no, these guys, we do not like this. And it became a mess, that in trying to fight it, which many of us think, it's the approach is wrong, but it led us into a mess. But I believe if the government take charge and take these away, because when it gets to challenging this, Nnamdi Azikiwe born on this now, and Abaka, onye ji egbe, onye ji ga-egbe aha Abaka eje anarị egbe. And okenye sikwa na dị Abaka achụ ihe na-ata ahụ. So at the end of the day, this is where we are. But I am so happy that we were able to do this interview. And I will say that the next will be, if our audience here, if you do have any question, raise your hand. I'll give you time, 1 minute each, to ask your question or make your intervention to our honorable senator here. But before we round up now, I want to ask, what is it that we can do to ensure that this initiative that was done, which you championed last year, and the agreement reached there and made during these summits, that they see the light of the day? Obviously, the governors have said they are doing some, or rather they are doing something about it. But now let's bring it, one, to the participants, to ndị Igbo na-ege ntị. Kedu ihe anyị ga-eme iji nyere ha aka to ensure that this particular summit will not go to waste like other summits?
The truth is that it will be to their eternal credit for this thing to materialize into some concrete action. It's not all the things, that were suggested that can be, that can be worked on or that can be done within the next few years. Some of them are very short-term activities or actions. Some are medium-term and some are long-term, like integration activities, what we're talking about. Can they not come together and build with this and that and that? Those are long-term. But the journey starts someday, and the thing is for the journey to start so that this set of governors can pass the baton to the next set of governors to lay a solid foundation. And I think that is what they want to do. One of the governors, who was talking about process. The process has to be right. Let this food be right, so that once they start, they will not, start on the wrong footing. It will be implementable and that kind of thing. So we will encourage them that thing you're doing, the solid actions, that you're doing today, a solid foundation, please accelerate it. And, I don't know how else to say it. It's not the people like us who worked on the project that will get the credit. It's the governors who were the owners of that event and who are going to be, finding the resources and putting together what it takes, to implement them. We'll just pray. I would like us to continue to ask questions, ask about it, why while hoping that they will get somewhere, you know. If we don't ask, you know, maybe people get busy and forget about it.
Thank you very much. That's been in the last 1 hour, it has been my utmost pleasure to have this one-on-one conversation with Mrs. Chris Anyanwu, MFR, former senator, journalist, publisher, author, and a critical thinker. Thank you very much once more for being part of this event this evening. I'm most grateful.
Thank you very much. And I've enjoyed talking about the Southeast, and I'm very optimistic that someday a greater